Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vision Untethered, a podcast full of conversations with inspirational visionary leaders. We will authentically unpack the biggest learnings, insights in both business and in life, and identify saboteurs that keep many visionary founders tied down. My name is Jill, everyone, again, founder and CEO of Savvy Strategic Partners. We are a dedicated C suite leadership team executing vision, increasing business value, and helping founder owners realize freedom. Today, we welcome the amazing Valerie Genghis, who is visionary, co-founder of Juniper Holiday and Home, a boutique vacation rental company that specializes in creating unique, memorable stays for travelers seeking luxury and comfort. With a passion for hospitality and a keen eye for design, Valerie has built Juniper Holiday and Home into a premier destination for vacationers looking for thoughtfully curated homes that feel like a getaway retreat. Valerie, so excited to have you. Thanks for
Thank you.
joining.
Thanks for having me. That was a good intro.
Oh, well, you're amazing and you do amazing
Thanks.
work. So,
Thanks.
what is your purpose and passion that led you down this journey, Juniper Holiday and Home, and what you do? I know intrinsically in your upbringing and your experience, hospitality is key. So how
hmm
is that transcended and curated as a passion for you to do what you do?
I think it comes naturally to me, which always makes work a little bit easier. I grew up in a family that not only did my father own restaurants, but all of my uncles, cousins, everybody on my dad's side was in hospitality. And so that has been part of my life since I was born. I don't know anything different than really like service to people through food and parties and setting the stage for great times. And I think
Mm.
also I'm kind of built for having fun. If anyone knows about the Enneagram, like I'm a seven. And so I'm always chasing a good time. And so this industry felt like it would give me what I was looking for, being able to serve people, create experiences for them, create a business, but also have like a ton of fun doing it.
I love that. It shines through for sure. Yeah, especially in your personality and bringing that to life in a way that other people you get to create memorable and fun experiences for others. So,
Yeah, I think like what
a
a job.
win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been in the restaurant business and bar business forever, and like those were
Hmm.
like creating micro experiences because they people would come in, have a couple drinks, have dinner, and it was like a few
Hmm.
hours. But this like I took it to a next level. So now we're talking about maybe a week long stay of creating experiences, and it
Yeah.
was my dream to have hotels. And I feel like this is a form of it. So it's like I manifested what I've always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. In such a creative way with the vacation rental property industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, this wasn't around when I was younger. So I couldn't
Hmm.
have had that thought like, oh, well, I can take
Hmm.
luxury homes and create experiences for people. I just
Right.
always thought that it would have to be in the form of like a five-star hotel in incredible areas. But I kind of been able to do that within these homes.
Hmm.
And it's, I mean, it's extremely satisfying.
Yeah. Yes. So throughout this journey, what would you say has been the biggest learning opportunity or maybe a mistake that's reframed for you, as a learning opportunity to grow and take the next step forward?
I mean, there's a laundry list, right? So when you
Yeah.
start your own business, which I had done before in the coaching, like life coaching space, and I had
Hmm.
written books and kind of was running my own business that way, but I didn't have employees. And going back to the restaurants, it was my family's business. But like at the end of the day, my dad had started those restaurants and like kind of set the stage for me to come in and take over. But to do something from
Hmm.
scratch, like that's
Hmm.
when you really start learning because it's all on you. There's no
Yeah.
one else to fall back on. So I
Yeah.
had to really learn how to pick the right team, how I was going to train them, how I was going to scale this operation, branding, marketing. There was no part of this business that I didn't learn or do myself because I had to. I
Right.
had to start somewhere and I I've been fortunate that I've met like the most incredible people that have helped me along the way because really I was starting from ground zero.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's been a challenge, I mean, that's part of the gig. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
had to learn everything. The
Yeah.
finances, like that was really hard for me. I was a religious
Yeah.
studies major in college. Like no one taught me about P&L statements and stuff. I never did it. So I didn't
Yeah.
know well, the finances are at the center of everything you do. That took me a while to get there.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I've hired incredible humans that are amazing in every area that they're in, and so it's all working now. But
Mm-hmm.
it took years.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that is the journey through that startup phase, and the building phase of the business is just the reality
Not
of
for the
having
weak.
to.
It's not for the
No.
weak. No. Mm-mm.
It's not. And to be able to build that resilience, but then what better way to learn what's needed, what areas you need to get out of the way the soonest, right? To be able to continually move toward your core area of genius to grow. So
That was
it's
another
all about
like
the people.
tipping point. You have to, all of a sudden, I was
Hmm.
like, wait, am I doing more harm than good by being involved in every aspect of this business? Like these people know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Let
Mm-hmm.
them go. And I think that was the turning point when I just started
Mm-hmm.
trusting that they knew and in many ways knew better than I did.
Yeah.
So that was also part of the journey. Yes.
Yeah. We have to learn that the hard way, I feel like every time.
Yeah.
So what are some common saboteurs for you? What are some of the kind of lies and instinctual beliefs for you that actually end up self-sabotaging, preventing you from letting go, preventing you from, taking that gifted seat in the organization or for yourself that held you back from doing those maybe sooner than you did, or that you still kind of wrestle with? Do you have those that you can pinpoint?
Sure. I think when I started, I had a vision in my mind and I wanted to do I was kind of like a perfectionist. Like I wanted what I wanted. And I was going to get there no matter what it took. And there was a lot of like pushing and working 7 days a week and just like grinding it out. And it was
Hmm.
really bad for my nervous system. It was super stressful. And
Hmm.
it had to be perfect or I didn't want it. And going back to the Enneagram, that's like an unhealthy seven. Now you're like going into one, you're going into the perfectionist. And
Yes.
and it really was through the Enneagram too that helped me realize like you are being
Uh,
unhealthy about this.
right.
Like every single fork and everything does not have to be totally perfect. But it's kind of how my mind works when it comes to hospitality and design. It's like I need things to be a certain way.
Yeah, and a certain
Yeah, it's
standard.
certain,
You're setting a bar and a standard, and you'll stop at nothing
it's
unless
almost an
everything.
obsession. It's crazy.
It is. It
It is.
is.
But that can
Yeah.
hurt you if you don't gain control of it. And not, you have to pick
Hmm.
people that can also jump on board with
Uphold.
that vision, but you
Hmm.
also can't like torture people.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
There's.
I mean, not everybody. I have to remember that not everybody has so much fire inside of them that they'll just like they're
Hmm.
wild chasing this thing. So it's like, okay,
Hmm.
calm down. They're gonna get it. They're gonna do a great job. And like at the end of the day, you
Yeah.
have to save yourself because you'll burn out.
You have to pick your battles. You have to pick
Yeah, it's hard.
where there's zero tolerance for, a standard not being met versus where some can be a little less stringent, right? If it comes to every single meticulous detail, not everybody's going to have that same level of perfection, but where are the absolutes and where are those where you're like, okay, that's okay. It could be a recentering moment and a kind of shift. Like, this is still important. Every little detail does matter, but at what point can you, pick some of those battles? Because not everything is going to be 100% every single time. And
That's
that's just the
right.
reality. You've got
That's
humans in the business. We're all human, right?
I
So,
know. I know.
yeah.
That right there is my biggest challenge. And then,
Okay.
I love reading biographies. So you read about Steve
Hmm.
Jobs or some of these Michelin star restaurants, and like I am
Right.
obsessed with all of that because the details are so intoxicating to me and how they're done right. And it's like
Mm.
again, there's an unhealthy aspect to it. But there's
Yeah.
also a strong desire and pull for that perfection because there's so much beauty in that perfection and that simplicity, which takes simplicity does not come easily. It's like there's a lot of planning that goes into making things look simple.
Yeah. I know, isn't that ironic? Yeah. So
Totally.
perfect so perfectionism, you'd say, is the saboteur, right? Things having to
Absolutely.
be, yes. Such a common, I mean, that's common. It makes me think of, have you seen, especially when you within this industry, have you seen The Bear?
That is really funny that you brought that up because
Yeah.
I worked on a film. My friend is a director and writer and producer, and the executive producer of The Bear worked on
Hmm.
the film with me. So I was like a mini producer. So we had this conversation, Tyson and
Wow.
I, about like watching The Bear, which is my favorite show on TV, and I'm from Chicago, so like being at Alinea, which is
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So it's like now that
It
show's over the
totally hit
top.
home.
It
Yeah.
totally hit home. And season two, I think it's episode 7, like they're at Alinea, which is like one of the best restaurants in the world,
Yeah.
which was down the
Yeah.
street from me. And like eating there and seeing the perfection in every single thing that they do, and then like watching it on the bear, I'm
Hmm.
I'm still talking about it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
I got a subscription to Hulu for everyone in my company so they could watch these certain episodes
That's
because of
perfect.
this thing we're talking about.
Yes.
Right.
I'm like, it's the first thing I thought of as you're saying
That's
this. I'm like, wow, it's so yeah, an exaggerated version, maybe to some degree, but it exists out there. This insatiable need for the perfection. But look how much of that for him specifically in the character, the bear, was tied to dysfunction and proving something just within himself. Like how beat down of a person he was trying to heal those wounds in this restaurant he's creating, right? And it's never going
absolutely.
to
There's
fix
a dark
anything.
side. There's a
There,
dark
it's
side
a
to
dark,
it.
yeah, there's a slippery slope to where there's a dark side to it. And at what point, as a visionary, can we say, hold up, like I am a human outside of this that I create, the product of my creation. I am still enough or worthy or have value as a person. And sometimes I think that is, I mean, that's evident in that perfectionism that is so hard, I think, for a lot of us to distinguish the difference in our identity from who we are and what we do. So,
Absolutely. And it's like if I'm going to do something, I'm going all in and I want it to be right.
sure.
But
Yeah.
it's weird because like my day-to-day personality is like super laid back. I'm really
Yeah.
calm. I feel like chill. I meditate. I'm like everything's cool. But when it comes to certain things, like it's an obsession. And it doesn't help me that all these people over the years that I have read about and thought about that are the best of the best at what they do, it's
Yeah.
like I think they're magic. So it's like there must be some tether or something that like it's like I like that. I'm attracted to that. I want that.
I want to be the best.
I want to be the best. If I'm going to choose to do something, I want to be the best at it.
Yeah.
And not like in a weird competitive way. It's like I owe that to the company, the world, to my little space. Like I
Mm,
it should be done this way and I want it done this way. And that's going to give us the best results.
mm, I love that. Yeah. It's not solely about you and being the best in it, but being able to create something that is best in class. Like it is, you're
Yeah.
known for what's this one thing that, luxury style, luxury level, A plus, rated the best. It needs to be that. Because if there's one
Yeah.
thing
And,
to be
and
known for, yeah.
it needs to be that. And at the end of the day, I want whoever touches this thing to feel that energy, to be like, wow, that was incredible. Like when that book came out,
Mm-hmm.
Unreasonable Hospitality, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this man is like, God, he gets it. Like he got
Yeah.
it. He wrote about
Mm-hmm.
it. He nailed it. And I was like, I have been thinking these thoughts my entire life. And it probably goes, everything goes back to your childhood, right? I mean, we can't get away from
Yeah.
that. So when my
Right.
parents would have dinner parties, which was quite often, there was weeks of planning going into the menu, weeks of planning going into the flowers, the tablecloths, the guest list, like what that was going to look like. And my parents aren't
Wow.
like spazzes. They just wanted to create amazing experiences for the guests. I can remember we were having like 30 people over and I, I don't know, all this planning went into it. And I was like, why don't you guys order out the potatoes or whatever I said to them? It was like one of the dishes on the menu. And they were like horrified. They were like, we would never do that. We are making everything because
Mm-hmm.
we will do it better. And like these are the plates it's going to be served on. And my mom would have me like cleaning all the silver, polishing the silver. And like, it must
Wow.
just be like built into me. I think about
Yeah. If
Martha
you're gonna do
Stewart.
anything, you're gonna do it to this standard, or
I
why do
want
it?
to do it. Yeah. Or it
Yeah.
feels like a disappointment. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
Martha
You're like,
Stewart,
oh,
there's
I could
people
have done
out
that
there
better.
could have done
Yeah.
it better. But when I
Well,
experience it
are
too,
your
I'm like,
parents still? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no,
Maybe
I'm
there's a
saying when
different.
I experience it, when I go to like an amazing hotel or an amazing restaurant and I have that
Yes.
experience, it's like heroin to me.
Yes. And then everything else thereafter that doesn't meet that standard is a disappointment,
It
right?
just feels
It's,
flat.
yeah, it's kind of like, okay, that you're comparing though everything thereafter in that realm, whether it's a hotel, a restaurant, or whatever it is, nothing holds a flame to it.
That's right. And it
Comparing it.
like yeah, it creates unforgettable moments. And I guess that's
Hmm.
what I live for.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are your parents still hosting parties? Because I really want to come.
Um,
I'm
my mom
like,
passed away,
wow.
but my dad definitely is. We just had,
Mhm.
like all of my mom's side over for a party, and like everything was beautiful. Like I
Mm.
did all the flowers and the napkins and the plates, and like my dad's girlfriend was in the picture too. So like the three of us put this together, and like we were gonna have after dinner drinks and coffee outside, and like I don't know, everything was like perfect, and I loved the whole evening. So
Oh.
again, that like I always say like have the thought and then you do the prep, the planning, and then you execute. And it's like if you kind of
Hmm.
go and take those steps, like it's gonna turn out beautiful. And then everyone feels it.
Aw, I love that. You'll have to give me some tips and pointers. I'm putting together, my husband and I are hosting a Dia de los Muertos evening
Mm,
next Friday.
fun.
So, to truly honor those we've lost, and I've just been fascinated with the tradition and the holiday and have never intentionally participated in it in a way that, and I know our friends, neighbors haven't either, right? There's
Oh my
none
God,
really
you
in
have to
the
create something
Mexican
amazing.
community. Yeah. So, and I have no, there's zero Mexican heritage in our
Hmm.
family or anything, but I have such appreciation for that culture and especially that tradition, where I think death is so taboo in this discussion of those we've lost and incorporating ways where their spirit is with us and can transcend what we see in the physical space in our realm. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this out there, float it out there to those that are close to us, and they may think I'm crazy, but I want to create this experience where there's an experience there. Yes, we're probably going to eat amazing food and drink and be merry, but what more in that environment of like creating those cultural traditions in it are going to create a memorable experience for people
I would
to
bring
honor and
someone in
celebrate
that
their
like
lost. Yeah.
I would like maybe bring like a medium in or someone that like can communicate
Mm,
with the dead, understands death. Death is
yeah.
actually really beautiful. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
it's exactly what you said. Like we have
Yeah.
like pushed that aside in our society, but obviously it's as natural as giving birth. Like
Right. It's
it's
part of
part
the
of who we
cycle of life.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be this horrible, scary thing. I mean, I look at death now because of all my experiences as like that is the greatest adventure you are ever going to have.
It so is. As
I
pain,
mean,
I mean, there's it's grief
it
and it's pain, but I agree. Like,
for
and you
us,
saying you lost, yeah, right. Well, and
for
you,
us, yeah, but not for the person. They're like they're buying the ticket and taking the ride.
hmm so true. And but I mean, how much we learn too in in the after the event in which we've lost somebody, how much we learn from that experience, I feel like it's still from them, right? Like it's still their spirit or their legacy of this existence that I feel like, yeah, when you say you lost your mom, and you may have told me that, and I forgot. I'm sorry. My dad passed away when I was 20, and
Mm.
most any pivotal moment or change or chapter shift in my life goes back to the moment that he left this earth. Everything there, it is like
Oh,
a clear break in the in line in my life of like here
absolutely.
was here was pre here was my life up to this moment, and then here was everything that changed after that moment. It is like a clear break in this line in the sand, and
A
we don't celebrate and
hundred
honor
percent.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I mean, this is another 17-hour discussion, but
I
like
know.
the energy like doesn't go away because the person passes away and like their death
Mhm.
is part of like the perfection of your life, like the lessons you need to learn, the growth that needs to happen, the empathy
Yeah,
you need to cultivate. Like there's so much there to unpack. It's
totally,
like, yes, you're devastated. But as time goes on and you can look backwards, you realize the gift in their death for you. Because it's going to happen. You
totally.
can't stop it. But it
Yeah,
but it transforms you.
it does. Yeah.
I was a different person
Oh,
after my mom died. It broke me in half. It's so yes, that was awful. I don't
mhm.
wish that on my worst enemy, but without that, I could have never evolved into this person that I am. It wouldn't have happened.
Right. It's so true. Yeah,
It's a
it shapes
weird
us.
phenomena.
Yeah. It breaks us open, reshapes us in, I mean, kind of the cliche, right? Of like something beautiful from a broken, ashed, like
Mhm.
shattered pieces. It is that. Or it can also not end up that way. There's so many that allow that to be their stopping point, that it's so heavy and such a burden and so painful to be able to come out of that as a gift is it's hard, but
Yeah, and
to
you've
see it that
probably
way
had
too.
like 100 other lifetimes of being broken open and having experiences.
Mhm.
Like, not everyone will get it in this lifetime, and maybe they'll, pick up an addiction or something. They can't handle the pain, and that's
Yeah,
fine. But at some point, you are going to keep evolving. You
right.
cannot stop that train.
That's true. Yeah, I love that. I know, kind of a segue into, I'm like, if you get me started on Enneagram or death or like, I
Those
feel
are
like
like
our
my favorite
conversations do
topics.
this. Yeah, me too. I know. So yeah, I'm like, if you get us on any one of these topics, I know you and I could have like 500 podcasts on various things, but that's why I love talking to you.
It's
Um,
interesting and
yeah,
it's like there are roadmaps out there a little bit,
hmm
the tools that
absolutely.
help us gain some clarity around these really intense, seemingly complicated issues.
Right. And I think, well, so kind of tying that back then to entrepreneurialism or visionary mindset, we can be lonely in any experience, whether it's a loss personally, whether it's a loss in business, a setback, a rejection, anything painful or challenging or uncomfortable, we have the choice, right? We have the choice to sit in that alone or not. And that I think is, for me, one of the most pivotal self-awareness, like and awareness aspects of being a leader and developing and working with businesses and being an entrepreneur is how much of it I think so many of us try to go alone. And the power is truly in letting letting others in and being a part of that journey with others and experiencing
Absolutely.
pain and sitting in pain or going through challenge together, because the journey can be so lonely if we let it. So
Totally. Yeah.
What
And,
would you
and
say? Oh, I was going to say with that, like, what do you have a personal story of a time you were held back and had that kind of realization, or you felt lonely at the top, or you felt lonely in what you were doing, and what steps you took to free yourself, to untether yourself?
first of all, I think if you're going to go down this road where you are going to start your own business, there's going to be some suffering. Okay. Like this is very difficult. That's why most people don't do it. So, in order to be able to handle all this, because there's so many ups and downs, so you have to cultivate some inner strength. And for me,
Hmm.
that's through a spiritual practice. Like I could not do this if I didn't meditate. I could not do this if I didn't get enough rest every night, if I didn't take care of myself. I made a conscious decision that I was going to be successful and that I was going to give this my all. And that meant in my personal life that I had to make changes. I had to take care of myself at all costs. I don't surround myself with people that aren't right for me, that take energy away from me. I have cultivated a group of humans that lift me up, that understand me. When I first started, I got a mentor. She helped me tremendously because I didn't know what I was doing. And I know I keep bringing this up, like back to the seven, but I did not want to suffer as much as I knew I could suffer if I just tried to plow through this myself. So I think through meditating daily, sleeping, getting a mentor, getting a group of people around me that understood
Mm.
me, my business, and were there to talk to, going to therapy. I was like, I need to get a trainer for my mind, my soul, and my body. Exercising, it's the whole. This is
Yeah,
like this takes everything you got. So
for sure.
I did
Yeah.
not mess around. I went all in with making sure that, I put the oxygen mask on myself first.
That's incredible. The only seven I know, and those that don't know the Enneagram, please look into it. It's so insightful.
It's
But the
amazing.
the only seven I know is an unhealthy seven, and the root issue or pain in the seven is the avoidance of pain.
Yeah,
They are the
we will
life of
do
the
anything.
party. Yes, we'll do anything to avoid feeling something uncomfortable or painful, or talking about it, or addressing it. And the only seven I know, and I won't say who they are in case they're listening, um, is totally unaware. So the fact that, like, to know someone like you as the healthy version of that, and somebody that saw instantly, like, where is my deepest pain point of avoiding pain, and what is that keeping me from if I don't address it head on and take care of myself, is such a beautiful thing to witness. Because I've always said, knowing the Enneagram, that I'm like, I feel the worst for the sevens because I'm a four. And so I like lean deep into pain. I'm like, oh yeah, I love to suffer. I love to sit in the death and the grief. And because from that, right? Like, it's so, you and I are
That
like the
sounds
polar
wild
opposite.
to me.
So
That
I'm
sounds
always like,
wild.
I feel so, the sevens are like, oh, they're the life of the party. But when I'm in the midst of the, like, in the environment with this person, I'm like, you're so sad though. Like, you're not actually experiencing the fullness of life. And so for me, I was always like, if there were one number I'd be afraid of being, it'd be a seven because
Oh
it's so
yes,
like
sevens have
counterintuitive to
like
me.
they have addictions, they're totally like just
Yep.
wild and unbalanced. And like I
Yep.
love the wild side of me. That's it's never gonna go away.
Hmm.
It's always been that way. I have
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed my entire life. I mean, except for some,
Yeah.
pretty hard times. But
Hmm.
honestly, I feel like I am constantly turning lemons into lemonade. And it's probably to
Yep.
avoid that pain. But I knew that the only way through all of this was to go inward. Like at least I knew that. So I just kept
Hmm.
going and going and going. And I'm never going to stop. This is an inward journey that's never going to end. It's who I am
Mm.
now. And
I love that.
just thank God that it's worked out.
Right?
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
you could have
everything's a
been way
crapshoot.
worse off.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I think my superpower might be finding like really good people to surround myself with. I'm very
Mm,
particular. So it's like I trust the energy in my body. I see everything actually as energy. So it's a yes or a no. And so when it's yes, I'm
mm,
like that, I lean in then to that relationship or that person, and like it just builds you up. But the wrong relationships and the wrong people, that'll destroy you. And I know
it
that,
will.
so I'm very conscious of
Yeah.
it.
That's so key. Yeah. And what a beautiful way to turn that into a gift that you have, a superpower to create a positive energy and a flow of the right people and the right chemistry in energy in a way that is so focused and clear. Because I think a lot of sevens are, I mean, it's murky and an avoidance, right? An avoidance of kind of
Totally.
shifting that and to work internally on what it is you need in yourself to know the difference from one or the other. Because the seven is like such a yes person. Like, yeah, let's do that. Okay, like
And
go with
and
the flow.
I am that way, but I'm just more conscious now. When I was
Yeah.
younger, like
Uh,
going back to my mom's death, like that was the turning point. And I was 34 years old. So prior to that, like forever since day one, I just found all my old report cards, like going back to kindergarten. And on the report card, first of all, I got awful grades. It was shocking. But anyway, like all the notes from the teachers were like extremely social, doesn't want to listen, you know, problems with authority, whatever. That was that seven in me that just wanted
yeah.
to be, I was wild. I was
Yeah.
uncontrollable. The fire inside of me was just like,
Mm.
go, go, go. Boyfriends, parties, traveling, just crazy.
Hmm.
But then when my mom died and everything came crashing down on me, I realized like, oh, that doesn't ultimately work because you can't run from the
From
reality of life because there's going to be hard times. And if you keep pushing that
exactly.
away, then it's going to hit you like a goddamn hurricane
Or yeah, or kill you,
or
right? Like
kill
when you,
you.
hmm
Yeah,
yeah,
so I mean, luckily for me, the switch flipped and then I started being like, I need to look at this. And honestly, meditating changed my life. That was the night and day difference. It opened the
hmm
door to what was really going on inside of me. It gave me more
mm,
clarity to
yeah,
understand who I was, and then I could make better decisions.
absolutely. That's such a beautiful journey. You're like the poster child example of a successful seven Enneagram.
Hey, well, thank God, someone brought me to a Richard Rohr talk after I'd learned to meditate, and
Yeah.
he's
Yep.
one of my best friends, and he said, like, I think you need to know this man. And that day, I sat in a room in Chicago with like, there was like 500 priests and nuns in the room, and we all
Yeah.
meditated together. Like the energy was set in the room, and then Father Rohr started talking, and it's like, the honesty that came out of him, like the
Hmm.
knowing, I just knew like this is my person that I should look into and study on a spiritual
Yeah.
level. I had grown up with Thomas Merton, so it was
Hmm.
very similar to like that brutal honesty about religion and spirituality that I loved. And so he was
Hmm.
really my path down the road of learning about the Enneagram.
Yep.
And I thought
Same.
this is a spiritual tool that, my goodness, it's a game
Yeah.
changer.
It is. It's a spiritual tool as much as just a, yeah, self-awareness and consciousness. But yeah, the Enneagram through the Christian perspective by Richard Rohr, that was my first taste. And I was blown away. I'm like, I
The
feel
guy's
like I can,
incredible.
yeah. And just the for the internalization, I'm super introspective
Hmm.
naturally, just as, as a four, very like, but it truly like ripped the veil right off, in a way that was like,
Totally.
this is a spiritual awakening and understanding of who I am as a soul. So
It's
it's life
unreal how
changing.
yeah, it is. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's a great tool. I kind of like human design. That's pretty interesting
Mm,
too.
yeah.
But nothing has touched the Enneagram for me. Because
Same.
then I could gauge like, oh, you're being unhealthy,
Yeah,
because this is what it looks like. Because now I
you know
know.
your patterns. Yeah, you know your
Yeah.
patterns. You recognize them yourself when because you can sit from the seat of consciousness to know what triggers you in those areas to go down paths of unhealthy behaviors or self-beliefs or language in ourselves, right? That then we just get
Yes.
into the spiral. And if you can catch yourself before that, then you've awakened to this understanding of yourself you wouldn't have had otherwise.
A
Yeah.
hundred percent. Over the
Mm,
years, I've become very good at surrender, letting go. I really
mm,
do believe at this point, like it's in God's hands, everything about my life. And I just keep showing up. But I do feel like all the pressure isn't on me. I
yeah.
have surrendered just from all the stuff that's happened. It just brought me a lot of clarity. And so things happen in my life that on the surface might be like, wow, that was like pretty intense, but I can handle it because I look at
Hmm.
it from a different perspective. I'm like, this is part of the journey. Like this is supposed to happen. Learn from it.
Yeah.
That is like my second mantra. Learn from it. Keep
Oh,
growing. Keep
yes.
going. My
Yeah.
my evolution is very important to me, and the evolution of
Yes.
everybody. I mean,
Absolutely.
Ram
Nothing's a
Dass's
stopping
quote.
point.
You what?
I said nothing's just officially a stopping
No.
point there. Like it
Mm-mm.
is, the energy flows continuously, and if we allow it to flow through us, the circumstances, the setbacks, the wins, even, right? Like it
Yeah.
is constantly fluid. If something's blocked, then we're not growing. Then we're not taking from that as a step forward to the next, yeah, whatever's next in front of us.
Yeah, and like that to me, that's
Yeah.
part of the excitement of life. Because when you grow in consciousness, like your lens widens, everything becomes way more interesting, colorful, deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Your relationships are so incredibly satisfying, personal, romantic,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's like you're going to a deeper level with people. You're meeting people that are deeper. It's like it becomes very exciting. And I was gonna say, like, one of my favorite quotes is Ram Dass's "We're all walking each other home." I think about that all the time when you're out in the world and you're helping people, you're having important conversations. Like we're all there to help each other
Mm-hmm.
grow and evolve. And it's
Yes.
like, what an exciting concept.
Wow. It is.
It is. It's
It is.
fascinating.
That speaks to me. I haven't heard that quote before, but I love
Oh my
it.
God, it's so
It
good.
instantly says abundance to me because it's
Mhm.
looking at things from this lens of like life abundantly and opportunity and possibility, and all of that is in abundance. And I think so often it's needed as a reminder that we're all walking each other home because the circumstances around us and the world and what's happening can pin us against each other.
Oh my
Can,
goodness. Yeah, if you just like watch the news all day or whatever is
yeah,
happening, I don't know. I
yeah,
I can't give into that energy. It's just because it's never ending. It's always bad.
it is. Yeah, it's giving way to bad energy. Have you been in circumstances in business, or just any passionate endeavors in your life too, where what have you noticed in people's energy that is a signal to you that it's not a good fit, or they're competitive, or there's a sense of kind of that darkness, that block
Mhm.
of energy? Are you able to kind of pinpoint like what you hear, what you see that signals to you like, nope, someone I don't want to work with, associate with, like not for
Mm-hmm.
me?
100%. I can feel it. I can read the room pretty quickly, and I'll just be like, I almost get like an internal, like, no. It's really all connected to my nervous system. If someone's making me
Hmm.
feel anxious, kind of just very uncomfortable in my body, I just listen to that, and it's just a no. I don't need to know why, how. It doesn't matter. It's just
Hmm.
no. There's 8 billion people in the world. Like I don't need to choose that person to bring them into my inner circle or as an employee.
Hmm.
They're not right for me. They might be right for someone else. So I'm
Yeah.
absolutely committed to knowing that as far as like from knowing it and listening to it. But as far as like a
Yeah.
straight up business tool, I use predictive index. It's just like a
Yeah.
survey. Okay, so it's a survey
Hmm.
that you can give all of your employees. And it really, the reason I like it is because I want to know what are you really made for? Like what are you really good at? I'm great at
Yeah.
sales, marketing, this I'm a people person. So like that is what I'm built for. But other
Yeah.
people might be built for like more technical jobs. And then really understanding like what's the best way to communicate with that person? How do they fit
Yes.
in your org chart? It's very
Yes.
important because you're trying to
Hmm.
create a team of A players that get
Right.
along. You want the flow. I want the energy there, the excitement, the vision. So you have
Hmm.
to be pretty strategic in how you are playing this game of chess. So with a
Yeah.
tool like predictive index, or you could do CIPI, I think PI is easier,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it gives you like a little bit of an advantage because I'm
Hmm.
not just gonna like hire anyone,
Right.
it's like I want to think this through. It makes a huge difference. One right
Hmm.
person is better than like 10 wrong people.
Yeah. And
You know?
the meticulous time and energy that goes into understanding and knowing that before you make a decision is, I mean, it saves not only time, but so much money and investment in what may have been kind of a gut check, gut feel on somebody's personality, or you know them from somewhere or from someone, but to truly know what makes them tick and what they're made for, what they're wired for.
And what they want
Cons-
to do. I
right.
always ask in every interview, like, well, what do you really want to do? Like, forget about what I'm interviewing you about today. Like, what do you
Mm,
really want to do? Because like,
right.
let's move towards that. Because then they're
Hmm.
going to thrive and they're going to be
Yeah.
happy. I mean,
Yep.
this is why we like EOS too. It's
Hmm.
like, is this the right human for this job?
Hmm.
Does it fit your do these people fit your culture? It's very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
It's all about intentionality
Hmm.
and structuring things in an intentional, nothing's going to work out accidentally.
Mm-mm.
Maybe you get lucky. Sometimes I think we get lucky and we just happen to it's a mix of luck when, the stars align maybe and you're in the right place with the right person at the right time. But how often is that happening? At least in a a way that long term that's going to sustain and be somebody that grows with the company or grows in your life in another way. It's seldom is it
Hard.
luck. It's
Yeah, and
hard intentional work.
yeah, and at the beginning too, like you don't really know this because you don't have a team yet. You're just like, can this person do this job? Like, I need help. It's more of
Yeah.
you're not really standing in your power at the beginning because you're just trying to survive. But as time goes
Hmm.
on and you get some bad apples and stuff, you get pretty smart pretty quickly.
Hmm.
Hey, it's very painful to hire the wrong person. Let's not do that. Like,
Right.
let's think about this. I mean, I'd rather put the work in on the front end instead of dealing with the
Yeah.
aftermath of hiring the wrong person. It sucks.
Exactly. It costs way more than it's more than just a financial burden and loss. It costs so much energy, so much
Yeah.
time, so much
And you find
resource.
yourself talking about that person all the time, like, well, what do you think? Like, I feel like they're not right, blah, blah, blah. It's like so much energy. I don't want to do that.
Hmm.
If you have to talk
Absolutely.
about someone all the time and like really question this goes for relationships at work, personal life. If you're like uncertain, you're
Hmm.
questioning everything, like that's not the right person for you.
Right.
That is not a good employee
Hmm. Exactly. Or partner or
or
vendor
partner.
or like friend, anything, right? Like it
No.
goes for any relationship in life. If Why waste the energy? We can sever ties where there are things, people, experiences that no longer serve our soul and our need. So,
Right. And the right person, whether it's an employee, friend,
mhm,
partner, they won't make you feel that way. Like that's when there's like a little bit of toxic energy involved or
yeah,
just it's just not right. And so then your body really never lies. Like it's letting you know. So just tapping into that internal alarm system that you have and then, you have to trust it. And over time you'll
absolutely.
see that it serves you. And then it's like you just trust it. Suffering
Yeah.
goes down.
Exactly. Just listen.
Just,
Yeah. And
just
that
listen.
clarity, internalizing everything you said about the meditative state and consciousness and awareness. If we don't have that first and foremost, it's all it's all noise. And so we can't listen to those
Amen.
internal inklings and knowledge within ourselves if we're not tuning out all the noise in a way that
You
we're
can't hear
truly
anything.
no.
No.
It's a lot of, this way, then this way. Oh wait, no, back and forth, without that clarity and what is right for us and what fits right. So well said.
Thanks.
Well said.
I mean, you
So
totally get it. So it's easy.
yeah, I know. And not everyone we work with is going to get that, understand it. Um, it takes time. Like it takes time, intentional practice, and it takes the right mindset of an individual to want to go there, right? To want to go
Yeah.
to that place. So
And it
yeah.
also takes them having the experience to understand like, oh,
Hmm.
you mean I can see things differently? Like I can have better perspective on things. I don't have to just be reactive. Oh, okay.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
even a little taste of that will start changing you. And you always know when
Absolutely.
someone's not in that space because they're just reacting like all day, which is like,
Yep.
what a nightmare for your nervous system.
Totally. Yeah. There's
Jeez.
no wrangling. There's no wrangling
No,
that.
thank
Ooh,
you. No, thank you.
no, not for me. Mm-mm.
No, not for me. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So what advice do you give or would you give to other entrepreneurs who are struggling to let go, to entrust their people, to, take on and move forward in their core genius and zone of genius without compromising your vision?
Honestly, it's going back to everything we talked about today. You have to cultivate inner power. I always tell people to read the book Power versus Force. It's one of my favorite books.
Ooh,
It's
okay.
like you can force things all day. You can try and shove it down people's throats. You can work 7 days a
Mm,
week, like push, push, push. That's fine. It'll get you somewhere, but nothing compares to true inner power. That's
mm,
transformative. That's touching the lives of every person that you're around and through your energy, transforming their energy, like bringing them up, allowing them to
yeah.
see, getting them on the same page with you, like that's coming from inside of you. There's no
Mm,
way around that. So
yeah.
you can try every shortcut you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to be on the struggle bus. This is an inside
Hmm.
job. It pours out through you, from you, onto everything you touch. And like
Yep.
that's all you got to know. So you got to get something going on. I don't care if you walk in nature, if you go to yoga. I like to meditate. Just like do something to cultivate that inner strength, that inner knowing, because like that's what you need. And then
Yeah.
everything else will just come. You don't have to stress and worry about it. It just
Yeah.
comes, it falls into place, you make good decisions, the right people show up in your life, and just like enjoy it, enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Oh,
Everything
I
doesn't
love
have to
that.
be like a goddamn nightmare. It just doesn't. It just
Please,
doesn't.
no. No, it doesn't.
No,
I agree. As yeah, contrary to what so many of us believe, like, oh, this should feel harder. Like this should, like let's overcomplicate it. But it's really not.
it's not. And that's like one of the, I think, like aha moments people have. Let's say when they first start meditating, they'll be in a situation, they'll be like, that's really weird. Like normally I would freak out over that, or like normally that would
Hmm.
really upset me. And it's like I kind of just like watched the situation and was like, oh, okay, all right, I know what to do about that. And
Right.
like that is a little peek into like that's the good stuff. And it's shocking when
Yeah,
it first starts happening to you because you're like, oh my God, normally I would have lost it for like 3 days over that. But that doesn't,
exactly.
not that you're perfect, but it certainly
Hmm.
gives you an advantage.
Absolutely. It's simple in theory, but it's not easy.
You got to do it
And
every
that's
day. You got to cultivate this thing. It's not, I mean, I guess
mhm.
for some people it
Discipline.
has, you got to have a
Hmm.
little discipline around it because
Hmm.
you have to understand that that's what's going to get you there, whatever that practice is.
Exactly.
Now, it's
Yeah.
kind of like you're tapping into the unseen, unknown world, but like that's where the
Hmm.
energy is. But
Yes.
no one ever teaches you that. I call it opposite land. It's like the opposite of how you were raised, you know?
Totally. Totally. That's so true. And sad. I'm like, oh, why is that the
It's
case?
Well,
Yeah.
because there's people that maybe aren't tapped into this that then are raising kids and they're doing the best they can.
Hmm.
And I just happen to
Yep.
have a mom that got it. So she kind of taught me, and I got it too, and until I really needed to get it after she died. And then it
Hmm.
started coming to me. But she
Yeah.
had planted the seeds. I got really lucky
Yeah.
with her.
Oh, I love that.
It was, yeah.
And that learning just continued in your life for you because of her.
I
Oh.
I saw it as the way
Mm.
to, for at least for me, living a fulfilled life.
Well, thank you so much, Val. If you want to learn more about our team, visit savvystrategicpartners.com. Valerie, where can others learn more about Juniper Holiday and Home or about you if they want to get in touch and learn more?
We have a website, obviously Juniper Holiday and Home, and
Hmm.
I'm on, all the social media platforms just under my name,
Yeah,
Valerie Genghis.
great. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. We will see you next time. Thank you for being here, Val.
Thanks, Jill.